Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iori Folaring. And the weekend, but still very, very serious business on hand. Um, you know all about, the suspended Chief Justice. There was some respite. That was the elections, but now the elections are out of the way, so we're sort of settling back to some outstandings, if you want. It never really went away to those who were directly concerned, but you know what I mean. Our attention, our focus was shifted to the elections, and now that that is largely out of the way, let's come back to some of those pressing matters. And so the suspended CJN and the acting CJN. My guest this morning, Chuk Swoko, publisher and political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on.
Me, sir.
Indeed. And Otumba Tunji Amoyaga, who is a political affairs commentator. He's also a member of, in fact, he's deputy national coordinator of the Buhari campaign organization. It's nice to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So the simple question, because there's very little by way of law or legalisms that we're dealing with here, all of that has been sorted out.
Absolutely.
Because we have the NJC. The NJC, Nigerian National Judicial Commission, is saying, Mr. President, go ahead. Confirm the new acting CJ, because the suspended CJ was also acting CJ, I believe. So go ahead and confirm. That really means, tell me what you think that means.
I think that's...
And by the way, the reason why I'm asking the question, should President Buhari accept the recommendation of the NJC, is that he has said that it's been reported that he's seeking legal advice on the situation. He's already had a meeting with a professor of law, his vice, Professor Yemi Oshibajo. He's already had that meeting, but they still want some advice, before the president goes ahead. Tell me how all of this grabs you.
I think that the process has been ongoing, and at this juncture, I think that we just need also to move on.
Yeah.
We should make an immediate decision and let the Onogen know what to do next with his life and all that. And Buhari needs to, as a leader, leaders make strong decisions, hard decisions. He has to act, consult and act, so that we can also move on to other issues. The tribunals are going to start sitting soon, if they have not started, and all that. So we have so many issues of governance. Get ready for May 29th. Then get ready to swear in the National Assembly, so we can just get our economic life back on stream. We need to get this done with. Now, I believe that this decision on Onogen is very, very crucial, because looking back to the actions of the South governors when this thing started, it is very obvious they did not give a good advice to their brethren or to their own, as it were. So Buhari and all the legal team, they need to sit down and advise him, and he needs to act on that advice so that we can get this behind us. But what I find very interesting is that the voices of the Nigerian lawyers who were charging like bulldogs at the time, at the inception of this problem, have suddenly gone quiet. Meaning that those of us who were invited here at the inception, who said, look, there are natural laws that must be obeyed, and which I guess as students of law were taught in the university, that should have guided this man. We have seen in other clients when people resign from position, we wouldn't have gotten to this point. So we're back to where we're supposed to started from. So I think that that he should
Do you think,
be
you
advised.
think the president should go ahead and accept the advice of the NJC?
He should go ahead and heed the advice. It's very important, because you see, the law itself, for those of us who are illiterate in legal matters, have watched the way people reacted, how the governors of South Nigeria quickly called a meeting, and I'm surprised they have not called another meeting since that time to advise this man. So all that quote, counsel that they gave at that time, how he has helped this man, I don't know. How they have fizzled out, and the impact of that silence from them between that time and now. The elections are over now. I was thinking that between Monday and Wednesday, or even up to this morning, that I will hear their voice where they are counseling the man on what to do. I'm making it public for the rest of us to see. I haven't heard. It means that these lawyers who are doing this thing, both on social media, you have so many senior advocates of Nigeria on social media who are canceling him and making all kinds of assertions. And those of us who know nothing about law will just sit down. But there's some things that we know that are connected to law. The law of nature and the philosophy of law. And why this man should have done what is going on now is what he should have done. So going back to where you should have started from at this hour, I find it very, very amusing.
Otumba, let me bring you in then. Okay. First of all, nobody is above the law.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's the ideal.
That is established.
That's well.
It's already established that nobody is above the law.
Yes. Nobody's above the law. Not even the Chief Justice of a country. And that was the original premise, I think, for him being even indicted in the first place and given an opportunity to prove himself one way or the other. But no doubt lawyers felt that this is so very messy. You can't have this CJN sitting in the dock. You can't have this CJN, and so on and so on and so on. So there was something of an esprit de corps spirit. Some of the lawyers that Chooks were referred to, saying that ewo kamari, and that kind of an attitude. But now the NJC, we can't say exactly has thrown anybody under the bus, but the NJC has, in my impression, sort of reflected what ordinary right-thinking members of society would have thought. But now that we've come to this stage, the NJC has said, Mr. President, go ahead, proceed. Give me your impressions, because the Nation this morning helps us out. It's just put out a number of pertinent questions there. How should we now proceed? Should we complete the whole trial of Onoge? Should he be retired with benefits or without benefits? In other words, should a soft landing be sought, or should it even be considered? And I started from saying nobody's above the law. Give me your thoughts.
Well, thank you, Yori. The Chief Justice of the Federation was actually responsible for this act. And more importantly, the South governors, elders, so to say, they did not do well in this circumstance. They were in a hurry to come up with an opinion, with their view on this matter. And elders in a place, in a community, in a village setting, will wait until the younger ones will make their views known. Then the elders will cap it. Once the elder has spoken, that is the final. So one will expect the governors of the South, to have been patient, a little bit patient, knowing full well that government, before they come out with anything, they have so much information at their disposal, which is not known to the public. So many things that is going on that has gone under the carpet, that has gone on with Ononye, the CJN, that most of us in the public don't know, that is available to the president. So they have very useful information about Ononye that they can use to even embarrass and humiliate him. But I don't think that is necessary. So what I would suggest, Ononye, what should have done in the first place when that issue came up? Naturally, in the village setting, one would have expected him to make some movement and resolve this matter without going to the press. This is an issue. In the English setting, an Englishman will just, because of that denting, an Englishman will have just resigned and say, well, let me just pull off.
But we're talking about Nigerian men.
But in Nigerian setting, Nigerian man will not want to resign because they want to get to the bottom, because they will throw in politics into it. That is when you will see your kinsmen will now organize on people and there will be a protest.
Yes.
They are marginalized now.
It points to the complexity of our social relations in the country, perhaps. Because ordinarily, it's a straightforward affair, maybe in other climes. You're just alluding to the fact that a different person might have decided to, for instance, since you went and mentioned an Englishman, let me mention also, I think, is it the Japanese? Yeah, I think it's the Japanese. They just go and look for the tallest building, any 54-story building, and jump out of it. Say, look, no, this is not going to work. This is, but, well, not envious of any particular people in the world.
In China, people are being shot for misdemeanors that cannot be compared to the magnitude or size of what had just happened.
Although we have to be technically correct and careful. The suspended Chief Justice hasn't been found guilty of anything.
Yeah, but
because the trial is in progress.
I was just supporting what you said about the Chinese.
Indeed. They won't wait for the processes of the law.
Absolutely.
He will know in his heart that this is bad for my office, for my image.
Absolutely.
I don't know how I'm going to come back from this.
Absolutely.
In the first place, the excuses given by the CGN was very embarrassing. Because one would not expect the CGN to tell you and say, this thing is an oversight. I forgot to mention this and all the rest of it.
And the public was noticing all of it.
Yes, but we don't want to go into that.
That's where the NJC really had its issues. Yes. There's all sorts of legal experts necessarily have constituted the NJC.
That's why I was supporting the example you gave of the Chinese. Yes. The man that has been accused doesn't even want to go through the whole
he doesn't want to go through the whole thing.
He's concerned about his family and all that. And that's where, like I said to you, that when this thing started a few months ago, I was here and I said, look, this man comes from our area in South. And I know before you were discovered that we basically lived with our core values, checkmating ourselves. We didn't have police station in our local government.
Yes.
We just have the OB or the king or the whatever. When the issues are so naughty and all that, you went to the palace to settle and you were either caned or ostracized and all that. So when you made that assertion, when you gave that example of the Chinese, and you see of Japan, I just mentioned to you in China here, you don't even want to go through the process. So when outsiders are arrested in China, you hear them make noise, they want a fair trial. No, this man has not been transparent enough, so he's just removed in system and dealt with. Well, and it serves as an example, a very harsh example, to those that are coming. In North Korea, women and wives are being killed because of the sins of their husbands.
Yes.
Indeed.
So let's be clear about it. That I started by saying that we need leadership that can make all the tough and hard decisions. I know you're a leader here. I know some few other leaders here in different areas of this operation. We can't have this program, and we will never have it with all the other programs if you don't have some of these things put in place and people adhering to them. Like, we're not going to take excuses that your cameraman is tired of standing for the next 1 hour. So where people at home can nobody's going to accept it. He will be removed. So the rules and regulations that our elders are entrusted with, the law of nature itself, which they left their poor backgrounds to go to school to go and study, must be adhered to. Okay. We are not ready to listen to excuses.
It's interesting the way you're taking it, because that's indeed the way that we did sort of intend it this morning. This is not a program, at least this time, about lawyers, because lawyers don't act for themselves. They act on behalf for society.
Absolutely.
They act for the orderliness of society.
Absolutely.
There are rules, there are regulations, so that we don't just descend into a jungle here. Now, the way things are, that's why I said that the NJC probably is reflecting the mind of what lawyers themselves refer to in certain circumstances as right-thinking, the perspective of right-thinking members of society. The things, the allegations, the charge in the first instance, the response that Otumba has referred to. Well, actually, I forgot. I heard lawyers say that actually, if you go and look at the regulations properly, once a person admits that there was something wrong with it, the person cannot be charged on that matter again. He can just go and then make good. So there were nobody was remembering the moral aspect, which is what you are emphasizing.
Yeah.
And which
that's
other
a
people,
very essential part.
It is. So there's a sense in which maybe there were those who were hoping that Justice Onoga himself would have spared all of us all of this by simply walking away, while other people will be saying, no, come on, fight it. They don't have enough. The man conceivably could have walked away, but that he didn't, it needs to be said, that he didn't, he hasn't, might mean that he is convinced, and that's his trade, finding guilt, he's convinced that guilt does not lie with him and that all he needs is time to explain. So let it be. And that brings us to the question of, should the full course of the trial, should it run?
Well, in my opinion, I think Ononga should just spare himself and respect himself.
And the rest of us.
Yes.
Because at the
His
end of the
family,
day,
yes.
this is about Nigeria because it's Nigerians
yes.
CJN. It's not
Because
a state CJN.
already, even Ononge himself and members of his family knows where the pendulum is swinging to. They know that from the available facts before the the NJC, there is no reason, there is no point going further with this case, except it will be messy. It will be messy at the end of the day. So I will advise, but the discretions of the government going ahead with the case or not is at the discretion of the president. But I think the president could as well.
But again, maybe this is maybe that's part of what the president wants to consult upon because the papers say the president is weighing his options. And I also think that we need to be careful because everything doesn't flow from the president. Not everything. Yeah, the buck stops on his desk. But it isn't every last thing that flows from him.
The legitimacy of every government. You see where the moral, I have heard them say that lawyers don't look at, I might not be correct, that they are not concerned, when you stand before them, they're not concerned about morality and all of that.
Yeah, lawyers have said that something.
But I intend to disagree because if this man had passed through the process in his career to the point where he's become a CJN and all that, what role has morality gone? If I'm a member of his family and I get up this morning and I'm reading this thing, I will call him, either daddy, or uncle, or bros. What are you doing? Can't you just spare us this, whatever? Because it's not about being right now. It's about the fact that
actually it's too late for that, isn't it?
I don't think
it's too late for that.
I think it can.
The horse has bolted. The damage has been done.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. But it can also change if you take that step of faith by saying, you know what, I've had enough.
Okay, I'm going to make this good.
I'm going to make this good and change the course of the narrative. We can still discuss the matter next week or next month, but it will be, oh, how noble was this action and all that and all that. And then you leave the president with making another tough decision, either to be compassionate enough to say, you know what, let's do this for you because you have labored for so many years and all that. And some of us can support you. But what I do not agree is,
I don't even think
in the philosophy that these guys had gone through as lawyers, there are a few subjects that I must mention to you. The issue of morality, the issue of the psychology of governance, where this man's right should be protected, but also government legitimacy is predicated on the actions that the president is able to take.
Because in any
because
case,
you must accept that there's a government.
And corruption is a factor.
And that corruption is a virus that has destroyed this country. But the whole of that must be predicated on the legitimacy of government. You have a government in this country. Who is the representative of that government? What is he doing about this matter?
Well,
and all of that take cost from Onoge being a lawyer and rising from the ranks to the top.
Well, Otumba, you probably something
in my own case, I think I will even put the questions to you. If you are to appear before Ononge now on a matter, particularly on electoral matters, and Ononge go the other way around that does not suit you, what will be your reaction?
I see the point you're making. In other words, he's been compromised morally
his
now.
image has been dented.
There's a more...
that's
the way you feel.
Yes.
But that he is fighting against. Because that's why he's going to court. He has all these lawyers around him and they're advising him. So clearly, there are only two sides. And the side is that not guilty. That is their own side.
Okay.
All of the society is seeing it differently. And they are looking at the evidence, such as has been adduced so far. This is not a program for lawyers. This particular one is not really about the law. It's about laymen. Because
like us.
It's about laymen like us,
yes,
who are just looking at all the, and if you want our children, who are looking at society and they're reading government and civics textbooks and are seeing the way societies run. And it's a hiccup. It's a hiccup.
You know, you mentioned biology.
Did I mention biology? Did I mention biology?
I thought I heard you say biology.
It's okay.
But the importance of biology in this
I said civics or government. They are reading, they're seeing how societies should be run.
Absolutely.
And then you're seeing that, but in Nigeria, look at the situation the Chief Justice is in. And
do you know that, let's include biology in the subject matter. If you bring biology into the subject matter, you mention civic education and government. Let's add biology in it. You have people who breed crops. You know, you can breed cassava, you can breed maize and all that and all that. you can breed a monster in this type of subject when you have a man sitting at that level and he forgets to do what is appropriate for him and is carrying this moral. You're laughing about it, but it's the most dangerous aspect of what I'm telling you.
Look,
the driver knows about this, the junior workers and all that. And how are you going to deal with corruption when this man, who is supposed to be an example,
you see,
is accused of this type of things?
And since we're talking unloyally here, the man said he forgot. Of all the defenses, of all the excuses, the man said it's an
oversight. Yes,
it was an oversight.
That he didn't know that he was supposed
maybe
to
need to retire because he's forgetting things.
This is a problem because if he's the top honcho, the judge of all judges in Nigeria, and I don't know if this hadn't happened and any judge, leave ordinary out of it, any judge who was to say that, to explain himself that actually I clean forgot that matter. I don't know, but we all heard this. We all heard this. If it and that is not too that's not too difficult for any Nigerian, whether primary 6 education, to engage with. Say, oh, you forgot.
Can I tell you
forgot?
This?
If it's me, are you going to accept I forgot?
No.
Yes, please go where you wanted to
go. Let me tell you this for free. Before Ononga was appointed, you know, there was so much noise about it. There was so much protests and all the rest of it about it. I'm aware, and I will say this anywhere, before Ononga was appointed, I'm very much aware that Ononga has been on the watch list of the government for a long time.
Well,
he is aware himself.
You have additional information.
Yes, he is aware himself that he has been on the watch list of the government for a long time.
Although one doesn't know what a watch list is.
And the watch list in terms of corruption, in terms of ability to...
Otuma,
I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, once you say so.
Yeah, he has been on the watch list of the government. That was why the president himself was reluctant, because there are some certain facts that are available to the president.
When you come to the watch list, though speaking unofficially, not to be quoted, lawyers will tell you that there are quite a number of people
that are on the watch list.
That are on.
That's
referred to as a watch list. But let's just put the full stop there. Let's not go there.
But I think the man was not careful enough.
Let me tell you something that I thought about. Look, memories. Well, the CGN, the former acting CGN, has said that it escaped his mind. So there's a memory issue there. When the whole race came up of the next CJN, I don't know, knowing full well what you've done or what has transpired in your life, and there are no secrets in this world anymore.
That's correct.
And it doesn't matter if it was 15, 20, 17, 19, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Knowing what has transpired, I don't know why you didn't say, I'm not interested in the top job. Because you know that you can't pass the scrutiny. Why will you think that some things will be secret?
Because people get away with such things easily here.
Because a friend and I had this conversation. Yeah, so what would you do?
When the change phenomenon came,
people thought, it's nothing different.
Absolutely. So you have the blame game going on between PDP and APC and all that. So that in itself became a big business.
Because the strategy to escape all of this would have been for the man to not be in the race. You just not know the reason.
No, it can't be even in your mind if they put you in that kind of place. It's easier for you to say. But if you're in those places, there will be assumptions.
But you would know that there are going to be all sorts of security checks.
Yes. You had the South governors, for instance, call a meeting. And till tomorrow, I have not been able to find out what gave rise to that aside of sentiments and emotion. And you know where those things come from? A man's emotions and sentiments, ability to talk, ability to run and walk, they come from the brain.
Okay.
So you need to call this guy in and examine the way they think and all that. You called a meeting. How far have you helped this man after your meeting, emergency meeting, where you were acting like a victim, that because some person from your neighborhood is being indicted or being called to question and all that, and the man say he forgot and all that. So you were not brought up by your parents to know that morality is what you use to sustain your family name.
Okay.
What is Onoge going to bequeath to his family? Okay. For instance, let us assume that he's guilty. What is he going to bequeath to his family? The farmland in Nasarawa or the cars or the houses? Those are not the things that we were given. The name that we have is what we took to the market.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we're looking at former acting CJ and suspended CJ Onoge, an ordinary man's perspective, not a legal man's perspective, an ordinary member of society. In fact, it reminds me of Frank Olise back in the day, a Frank Olise perspective, the Nigerian common man, how he views all of this going on. Because no doubt, lawyers can come and write poems about this matter.
We, the common people, outnumber this
us. The law exists for us.
But we abide by the law.
The law exists for us.
One thing that's very fundamental in this matter is that when this matter first came up, there is the political dimension to it.
Okay.
And that political dimension is what aggravated the whole issue, that make it magnify it as if something very serious has happened. It is serious though, but then one will expect that if somebody has a challenge in his place of work and that has to do with morals or administrative suspension, that is what happened in the case of Ononye. It's administrative suspension. It has nothing to do with what NJC want to deliberate upon, because it wasn't a crime that was committed in the course of his job. It was a crime that was administratively committed. When the issue came up, one will expect that the political parties themselves, I mean the two major political parties, it became an issue of two political parties. The PDP at that time even suspended their campaign because Ononye was suspended. They suspended their campaign as if it's an issue against the APC and PDP.
Okay, let's take a break at this stage and come back. Don't go play away, please. We'll include your calls.
Thank you.
Welcome back, and we're looking at a common man's perspective, so to speak, to the whole Justice Onoge saga. Yeah, that's what it is, a saga. Now NJC has said to the president that, like, you're in order, go ahead. But what does this mean? The president, in turn, has consulted with his vice, who is a professor of law, and is also weighing options on Onoge. I don't know what the options are. Maybe that's what the nation is helping us out with. What? Does this amount to an indictment of Onoge? Should the president accept, what has been referred to as a soft landing, which I think is also one of our specialties,
yes,
if need be. But you see, when you have an administration that has said anti-corruption is a key part of why we came. And so far, they haven't, most people are saying that they are unimpressed with the anti-corruption record. And in fact, some of us are saying that, well, in the next term, when Buhari has nothing to lose, he's not thinking about a strategy of coming back, then political considerations might have been slowing them down in the past. But now, Onoge just, I don't know. Do you think this government has the leeway to provide what is referred to as a soft landing? Or do they just have to look away and let the law take its course?
Well, I think we started on the premise that nobody's above the law.
Nobody's above the law. That's what the textbook says.
Yes, that's what the textbook said, that nobody's above the law. The soft landing in this case, I don't know. That's what I'm saying, that the discretion of the president directly to handle this aspect of.
Because you asked a very pertinent question. You said, if you are before Onoge, post all of this, if they were to make it go away, just theoretically, what
I'm
would
going
you
there
feel?
with the impression that I cannot get justice. That would be my impression.
And that's the one thing no judge can afford. So much so that judges will move cases from their courts if they think that there's the slightest hint of them not being competent for one reason or the other, because the judges want to be seen necessarily as unbiased. I don't care what is on the left. I don't care what is on the right. It's only the evidence before me. And of course, I now bring my knowledge of society to bear and I make a pronouncement. If it is felt that this guy can't do an unbiased job, even if the judge feels, and I've seen this, even if the judge feels that there might not be any immediate waiting call, you know, to that effect, but I myself know that if you probe it, so he said, look, I myself am transferring this case out.
Yes.
So the judges themselves know this. So that's why
you know why they do that type of thing? Because of their conscience. They want to be able to go home and sleep. Not because they are corrupt or they are whatever.
And assure everybody that
Absolutely.
justice is blind.
And retain
justice
the
is blind.
sanctity of that exalted office that has been maintained since 1960 by great luminaries. He's not the first person. He just tried to mess up that office. Now he might be guiltless. He might not be guilty. But I forgot. Come on. I don't think that we should reduce that office, that is that office to the level that has been dragged to, where Otumba is asking the question that how about if you go and stand. It is a conscience issue. It's about name issue. My family name, my pedigree. When I'm gone, what will I be remembered for?
And you know that we didn't go into the particulars of the case, you know, because but the whole matter about explaining monies in accounts.
The sectional mob action and the popular social media sanity, the mobilization, but just indicated to people like us who don't know anything about law that this is not should not happen. When a man, I have a child who is a fresh lawyer, just started practice, and he has a dream, she has a desire to become something with the law, and went to the same law school that they all went to. And if you say the passion and whatever, so I'm disappointed that the same office where you have had great men occupy, and those men have departed the earth today, and we mention them, and we know the things that they've done for us in the legal space. Do you understand? I want to obey the law because I don't want to be embarrassed. So I go about my business and all that in a manner, in an attitude of that I don't want to be my family name to be mentioned for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I come to a place where I am wrong and all that, I'm able to apologize and walk away and be ready to, bear the responsibility.
Okay, but there are a lot of lawyers who I think just, this police esprit de corps thing that they say, that one for all and all for one, that kind of a thing.
The spirit of esprit de corps.
Yeah, I think some lawyers did that. Other lawyers, in fact, till today, you can't get too many lawyers to come out on a TV program at this moment. They'll let as it were. Let the breeze blow.
The lawyers that I know are busy.
Let the breeze blow this thing away.
What's it called? The foreign investors that are coming in contact them online.
Not too many lawyers want to comment on this whole matter. They know.
Their billings are very high. These lawyers that I know.
They know the situation.
Mr. Femi Falana SAN wants to make a statement on this matter, and I think I want to agree with him. In the issue of discretion this time around, Mr. Femi Falana advised that the government should stop the trial or withdraw the suspension letter, let the man resign. There is an adage in Yoruba that it is very little words you discuss with the young ones. With somebody that is intelligent, when he gets into him, he makes use of it. What that one simply says is that we have seen where this thing is going. Allow this man to resign, let him just go, carrying wahala go. So that we don't mess up the judiciary.
Exactly.
Because it is always said that it is the last hope of
the common people.
We,
the common man, the ordinary person, the non-legal mind. But those people, they are trained professionals. We go there. So, by the way, I think the point was made that in doing his work, I don't think anybody has said anything was wrong with the way he went about his work. But there's some explanations, probably. And we come here to this whole matter of monies in accounts, lodgements that just weren't borne out by the monthly paycheck you get. And so could you explain that?
Well, that's why I'm saying that most of these issues have been magnified by the politicians. Because that was the reason why the political party have to suspend their campaign during when this issue came up. That campaign was suspended, and a lot of people read meaning into it. I think our problem in this country is leadership problem. There must be somebody at the top that one should respect in terms of leadership, and that is exactly what is already coming up already now as we're talking, the National Assembly. This issue of who leads who has been the issue. How can there be a country? There must be a country where people should respect and be, so to say, if I'm allowed to use the word, there must be somebody you should be afraid of. That if I should do this thing and I'm caught in the process, this will be the punishment. There is a situation where my kinsmen will come out tomorrow and say they are protesting because I'm being marginalized. My ethnic group is being marginalized.
And that is the complicated minefield in which Nigerian leaders have to work, because whether you like it or not, it's a consideration.
You know that 2 years ago or so, this in October said just now, I had walked up to the HR director of one of the biggest brewing company in Nigeria, and we were having a chat. I wanted to find out how he was running and doing all the stuff that he was doing and all that. And he told me that in the company where he supervises as HR director, they have 33,000 Nigerian workers from all the nook and crannies of Nigeria working in that organization with only 13 expatriates. But he said something of interest to me. He said, do I know that in this organization, before you are taken in, you already know the rules and regulations of this company? So when we sanction you for doing something wrong, we don't have people coming here to come and protest by telling us, oh, you are marginalizing this man and you're sacking him because he's from my ethnic group.
He's a Yoruba man.
Or he's from South.
An Hausa man.
That's a company in Lagos here that has 33,000 workforce, 33,000 with just 13 expatriates. So when we put our nation in overdrive over issues, and I'm really, really not at home with the action of those governors from my zone, because what are you doing? What are you doing? These guys have just been around for 20 years. That place has existed. Yes. That region has existed. People from the river rime areas, they were fishermen. The other people were palm produce. It was that palm produce that brought the British people to that coastal line.
Yes.
Before in fact, it was because they were in search of palm produce that they got to Ugut Lake area and the Niger Delta region. They found oil in that place. So how did we live? How did we live? Will you tolerate this in your community where there's a wrongdoing by a chief that you entrusted with a man being seen with another man's wife was enough to send you out of the community? It was our brothers from the eastern part of Nigeria. They still do those type of things. When they communicate to you and they send you out of the town. Now a man is found to have forgotten. Come on, what are you teaching young lawyers, including my daughter who just became a lawyer and became so excited? Every time you ask her, what do you want to do? Go and look for a job. You say, look, I want to master the law first. And I want to master the law. And you are showing this bad example. And you have governors who cannot call a spade a spade. And it just shows you how they govern the state where they are governors.
As for when it comes to the matter of calling a spade, well, you see, these English expressions are excellent. It doesn't happen. It probably happens 5% of the time in our locale here. That is calling a spade a spade.
Calling a spade is the reason why in
it
China,
doesn't happen.
They have airplanes that are branded. That are branded.
Yes.
If you stay in Lagos here and you're a Chinese man and speak evil about that country or the my brother, they will come pick you up, put you inside the plane and fly you back to the place. So that's calling a spade.
Yes, exactly. So just looking at this, our ordinary man's, if you want, even a couple of three old men just chatting about this whole matter as ordinary citizens. This whole matter of calling a spade, we don't do it. I'm challenging you. We don't do calling a spade.
Yes.
We don't call white and call black black.
No.
People say no.
Leave him.
Wait, it's a variation of gray. You see, the spectrum of gray is from the lightest gray that looks almost like white to the darkest gray that looks almost like black. It's somewhere in between there. You can't come and say it is what. You get the point I'm making. We don't call a spade a spade. Maybe it's not even totally Nigerian, but that's my experience. And you just have to learn to live with it. You just have to learn to live with it, because unless we talk too much now, somebody remember National Orientation Agency. I'm going to say that. What are they doing? I never understand that question when people say, what is the National Orientation Agency doing? The orientation agency is individualized, I guess, and it's in your mind. Never mind the BG of a National Orientation Agency or some director or some flyers or some... We know the right thing, don't we?
National Orientation Agency works outside Nigeria. For instance, if yes, it works outside Nigeria. Why I'm saying that is this. Outside this country.
But it's supposed to work here.
Outside this country.
People will argue and remember it.
If anybody touches Chooks, for instance,
yes.
they'll say he's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do that to him, he's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to differentiate to say he's from the south or southeast or wherever. As long as he's a Nigerian and he's a Nigerian like me,
yes.
he's my brother.
That's it.
Unless you want to go further, that's when you begin to differentiate.
Okay, that's what you mean, that it works
outside Nigeria.
That orientation agency.
It doesn't work here.
But it doesn't work here.
They don't do anything here. They don't do anything here.
I don't know what to make of that.
That's the way it works.
We are having challenges with the phone. Otherwise, you would have been able to call in.
Outside Nigeria, nobody can touch a Nigerian man that will react.
Absolutely.
You will react. But here, they will say, oh, it's Igbo problem. Why will I contribute? Oh, it's the Yoruba problem.
Most of them are not politically correct.
We're not correct in any way.
None of them are politically correct.
We're not correct.
This and all of this was triggered by Chooks reminding me about calling a spade a spade. I said, well, when you get to that era of calling a spade, people would never do that kind of thing.
I think we need to.
It's a cultural thing.
Yes, we need to, because if you put your vehicle, like we have put Nigeria in overdrive right now, and we're driving this national vehicle, it's going to crash. And that's why before the election I told you that we don't have a nation, because if you don't hear, it was here in your studio that we talked about Saraki one time and all the stuff that was going on. And I was saying what I was saying, I don't know him, so that if he listens and if he can adhere to some of the things, he put his own personal vehicle in overdrive, and it crashed. Our nation will crash when you're constantly driving this vehicle. If you allow those guys in the south side to continue to think that they are on their own, that they can create their own whatever. And the reason they are doing it is because we have a kind of political philosophy that is an aberration, where you don't want to know that there is a government that must exert itself at the federal level. And you are driving your own local government and killing everybody in that place and taking people's money and not building schools, and children are suffering. You don't have a good health care center. And you create this atmosphere where you don't want to be touched and you're abusing everybody in Abuja. The political philosophy that we must have is where if you claim that you have right, you also have a responsibility. Above all, our political philosophy must be predicated on a government that must assert itself, whether it's on Onoge, whether it's in Rivers State, whether it's in Borno State, whether it's in Lagos State, anywhere you have violence, that government must assert itself. Where you have bad behavior, you must summon that political power, that political willingness to deal with that bad behavior. Why must me and Otumba and you be of good behavior, and these guys who are custodians of these things are misbehaving, then you are justifying it? Okay,
I don't want to lose out on, the NJC has advised Buhari to go ahead and Justice Tanko Mohammed for CJN. So what do you think, Otumba? What is the president weighing his options on again? Well, give me what you think.
I don't know what advice.
What you think he should be doing.
I don't know what advice the NGC must have given to the president.
They've advised that he should go ahead and confirm Tanko Mohammed as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. He's acting. In
other words, the other person is guilty as charged.
Well, this is why probably he might be
I think it's at the discretion of the president. Let him look at it.
The way Justice Onogen is going, I just looked at TV pictures and I imagined that I saw that. Sorry, this Oga, I think the way he's pursuing this whole matter, he's seeing that there will be a time when all of this will be behind us, and here I am sitting with my wig on and I'm Chief Justice of Nigeria. I didn't get that impression. I didn't get that impression.
My impression is that he's being advised. Now, the end of the story will prove to us whether it was good counsel that he's been getting and all that. That's why I'm particularly, if you notice, I've just been repeatedly talking about the governors from the South Side, because they just didn't have that emergency meeting. They've probably been talking to him after that time and guiding him and all that, and they have been counseling him.
Just have said, don't worry, I'm resigning.
Yeah, but for me, I'm concerned about corruption and the effects of corruption on his conscience. You know, your ability to reason. At the end of the day, if you give me counsel,
we can't even conclude corruption now, since the
no, I'm talking about effect in isolated case, in a place where there's corruption, the effect that you normally will have on the individual or society. You are not able to get it right. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are never able to get it right because the iniquities that we commit tie us, just that you don't see the cord of iniquity, but it ties you. You're not able to get it. You will make mistakes. Oh, yeah. You will make mistakes. Why is the law of Nigeria against corruption and stealing and theft? Even where I come from, in a local setting, if you go to someone's farm and steal yam, you're messed up.
Everybody.
So it means that you're messed up.
Everybody.
So it means that the cultures and the constitution and the scriptures are against this thing. So if you do it, it means that maybe they are not able to describe to us the effect, negative effect.
So, Otumba, you are saying that if the president accepts the advice to go ahead and confirm Justice Tanko Mohammed as CGN, the implication is that the other man in the picture is gone.
Of course, yes. I can't see that man coming on moral ground. Even if they say, okay, your sins are forgiven, will he have the moral justification?
It's not a church.
Okay.
Only a church. You can hear that only in a church.
It doesn't have that moral justification.
You can't do that. There's no room for forgiveness in law.
Okay, it doesn't have that moral justification to come and sit on that seat to say he wants. I think the issue of Ononge, to the best of my ability, I think the issue is gone. We should be thinking of how to restructure this country. There is no way you will get this country in the proper perspective without stepping on toes. And that's exactly what we are seeing. For instance, the issue is another one is already being brewed, being nurtured in the National Assembly now. You have to step on toes.
But even
you have to step on
this
toes.
National Assembly that you mentioned, it's important. But going back to Onoge, are you satisfied that fairness, the utmost fairness, was brought to bear on the affair?
Yes, because even the National Assembly is waiting for a situation where they will say the matter will be referred to the National Assembly, because they are waiting for the fact that National Assembly will still have to confirm the appointment or to do this or to say he can finally go. I think the president has done what is capable of doing as administratively.
Chooks, how would you respond to that question of fairness of the suspended CGN? Has he been, accorded all that he needs to be accorded? Has anybody, in short, is it being...
I don't know about fairness. I think that what I've been concerned about is the man, has he been fair to himself with all this
and has the system also been fair to him? This matter is seeking to try him.
I think
I think
that the country and life has been fair to him.
It has been fair to him.
From what I have heard from him, he made a mistake. And anybody can make a mistake. What you do is take responsibility for your errors. That is what I'm concerned about.
As the Oyinbo people say, fall on your sword.
I have made wrong choices in my life. I made mistakes and all that. I don't go mouthing it. I just deal with the consequences quietly.
But Justice Onoge refused to fall on his sword.
I don't know what he would have taught younger ones. That's why I'm concerned about being a bad example to people who you have been with. By law of nature and selectivity, your driver, what has he learned from you? Younger judges, what have they learned from you? Yes. The institution that you represented, that was bequeathed to you by high class.
That's why I talked about fairness. Because
legal luminaries that have existed before you, what they left for you and all that. Is that what you are bequeathing to Tanko Mohammed?
Well, because
so fairness, I don't know about that, but I expect to be fair to myself. I try to be fair to and I take a responsibility for my actions and I swallow the consequence of my choices. I made so many wrong choices in the past in my life. I have had to deal with them. I have had to deal with them. I have made mistakes, and I know I will continue to make mistakes. But I have an attitude of taking responsibility for my actions.
So you'd not be an advocate of any soft landings, soft landing so-called.
If they try that,
it's not known to law, but
yes, if they try this with this one, you would still be setting bad example. Why would I an automatic be
no to soft landing
behavior? Yes,
no
I don't
to soft landing.
Because you see, it will even work for him. If it will even work for him, if by fortunately or unfortunately is the way, you'll be shocked the great things that will happen to you.
Okay.
Do you understand?
But okay, if
that's not the end of life.
If Chuk says no to soft landing, how about the idea? Should the case at the CCT, should it be discontinued or should it be seen to its logical conclusion?
I think that is the discretions of the Ononye himself. But I see. I just don't want to sound parochial on this matter. Otherwise,
No, please. You see, we said it here. We are ordinary citizens, ordinary men. We don't even know the law, but we do know that every country has a chief justice, and we deserve one, and we have one. Now there are problems with this one that we have.
Because I don't see him going ahead with the case. Because there is no case there in the first place. There is no case there. They are calling you thief, and you are still playing with the goats. You see, I don't want to. I think we should discuss other issue that is more very relevant now.
Okay.
This issue is
but
dead.
Our chief justice, being on, I don't know.
The chief justice should have resigned long time before now.
But we don't do resignation.
Resigned
It's not in our culture. We don't do resignation.
Somebody has to start.
We don't fall on our sword.
Somebody has to start it.
Somebody has to start it.
Yeah.
I think they're telling us that it's enough. You people, you should come and go. We've heard, we've heard all that you people are saying, especially you non-lawyers.
So you can bring in lawyers.
So that we can bring him. But jokes apart, I just thought we should air this, especially as it seems the matter seems to have been very, very simplified now.
By the way, there are no lawyers who have been on this matter.
Of course. Now the NJC that would have thought that they would be the problem because there are so many hoops you have to, jump through. No, the NJC now advises Mr. President, go ahead and confirm Tanko, which means that Mr. President was right in the first instance.
Yes.
That's the implication. But we got to leave it here for now, such as it is.
Thank you
This weekend. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuks Mwoko, publisher of Political Affairs Analyst, and thank you very much, Otumba Tunji Omorega, Political Affairs commentator, and as you said, Buhari Campaign Organization Deputy National Coordinator. Thank you, gentlemen. Wish you a great weekend, as indeed I wish our viewers too. We don't do Saturdays, so we'll see each other, God willing, on Monday. I'm Yori Folari. Have a great weekend.